No, there's some crummy jeans, but that's okay. All right, here we go and go. And continue to share this PowerPoint window. Continue to share. Fabulous. Do you see it?
Yes.
Yep,
Oh, look at us. Look at us.
pretty
We're
cool.
completely out of Zoom, whatever. Zoom shape. Well, welcome everybody. So this is our April 7th Zoom meeting. Isn't that fun? And you are in the right place if you are here. Okay, so we just have the meeting before the meeting slideshow, which you have seen. And we need to figure out, you know what? I might just send that out because it lives for a month. I might send it out and just say, if you missed a meeting, go check out the slideshow. Something like that. That'd be fun. Okay, and then we have our regular business section, and then we are going to hear all about travel photography from our member and the person we are missing, Derek Cioffi, who is online. Yay, Derek. So, and he is the king of this. So we're going to learn a lot of. We've already learned things before you guys got here. So, yeah, there we go. Now, upcoming things. Did I go too far? No, I think I'm good. Okay, up next meetings, the next three meetings. Now, all of the meetings, by the way, are on the website if you ever, want to know what's going on, whether you want it to know in the app or not, but it's all on the website. So we have, hang on, I got to get my picture to be out of the way. Full screen, moving it. I'm just going to move it down here. Okay. So our May meeting coming up is with Rich Johnson, and it's on personal projects. And I'm personally really looking forward to this one. He talks about ways that you can do some cool things that will keep you really engaged and invigorated on your photography journey. So um, then we also have a tech talk on at that meeting about from Moody. Lori got Moody to do a tech talk for us, and it's Memories in Motion, which I think Lori is really about video, isn't it?
Yes, it's about putting your pictures to music and video.
There you go. Perfect. So they're going to learn a lot there, so you definitely want to be there. And then in June, we have Jack Rogers, thanks to Jean. I don't know if Jean's on here or not, but Jean got us Jack Rogers, Jean and Susan, and got us Jack Rogers. And he is going to talk to us about birding in the Orlando wetlands. And I know we had the recent outing down there or the trip down there, but then this one will tell you how to be ready. I think that, everybody goes for the birding, like the babies season, but I think he's going to talk about more stuff on that. Um, then also we have Jeff. Oh, I spelled Jeff Gerard's name wrong. Sorry, Jeff. But it's Jeff Gerard, our past president, and he is going to give a tech talk on light layer cake, which is kind of fun. I don't exactly, it has something to do with light.
He
So,
picked that title as a secret on purpose.
keep us guessing. I like it. Okay, and then in July we have our three experts. So this is a really, really fun meeting to get you ready for the BPC annual competition. So you really want to make this one. So I don't know if any of you have attended the critiques that Sean and Bill and Dave have been doing, like in little subgroups. And Susan came up with a great idea that what we should do is, get those guys to have some images that have been, and correct me if I'm wrong, Susan, but they were images that maybe had been submitted in another previous competition, and they're going to talk about what would have made that photo be a winner. So it's kind of fun. Did I say that right, Susan? I think so. Maybe I muted her.
I muted me, and then all of a sudden I'm yapping away. Um, Sean said he has a bunch of photos that he's planning on working with, and I don't know if Dave and Bill have got theirs as well. However, they're going to do it. But yeah, it's what would have made that photo a winner, because sometimes you're just like, I thought this was great. I thought this, but what was it that made it so it wasn't a winner? What could you have done to make it a winner?
Got it. Got it. So anyway, and then Dave is also going to give us as kind of like the tech talk, he's going to say, okay, here's for, here are the rules on the annual competition. And a lot of people know them, but some people don't. And either way, it's a good refresher. So he's going to talk about, knowing what the rules are, because you might have a fantastic image. And if you didn't do it right for the rules, then you might get eliminated unnecessarily. So it's a good meeting to come to. So that's the next three in the chute of the meetings. Now I wanted to talk. I don't even know if Robert or Kim are on Zoom. Does anybody see Robert or Kim? I'm looking. Robert or Kim on my list of people that are attending. But Kim did the our exhibition at the library. It is up and it's posted. And thanks go to the folks that helped her. So Robert Wells was there, of course. It was also Charlie and Brian. Charlie Baldwin and Brian Viola and Yara, you were there. Thank you very much to all the people that helped. And then the big news, I don't know that we really talked about this before, but that Kim is going to step down from exhibitions and Robert Wells has agreed to take over. So we're very excited. And here they are, our incoming and outgoing chairs. And Nancy, thank you for the picture. So now into outings, we have coming up the alligator farm. And I'm personally very excited because I outed myself for never having gone to the alligator farm. I like that. So the alligator farm is coming up next week. And I think you posted, no, you didn't post anything about where I guess folks are going to eat after the alligator farm. Maybe it is posted.
It is
But
posted. We're going to eat at the conch house.
there you go. Okay. And then also the big Florida's Birding and Photo Fest starts on April 22nd. And if you have not already booked, you might still be able to get booked. But if you do, save yourself $25 and use that code CAMCLUB26 because you're in a camera club. So that's half price, basically. That's the admission to the thing. You do have to pay for other stuff that you attend, but just the general admission to the thing is $50 and you get it for half off. And even if you don't go to any of the workshops or the sessions that they hold, you can go to the vendor thing and they're going to have all the big vendors are there. And I think George is going to be there cleaning cameras and all. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. We also have coming up, I think there may be spots left on this. I didn't double check it because it was only 10 spots per boat. But if you're interested in this, you can check on going on an eco boat tour that is all around this big, through the lens challenge with the GTM. So if you want to go on this, you can, take a picture of this screen or whatever, and then or email Linda Burke. Okay. Anybody, if you need me to stop and hold still, I'll hold still, but quick, take a picture of it. Okay. And then other outings that Nancy and crew have come up with, we're going to go down to the Jacksonville Zoo or up to the Jacksonville Zoo with the big manatee exhibit, which is fun to see. So that is coming up on May 11th. And then we also have another outing planned at the end of May to Washington Oaks, which is a really cool place. So that's that on outings. We also have on coming up, they finished the F3C print competition, and now it's on April 8th. It's going to be the time to start submitting your digital images for the first triannual digital competition. And for anybody that does not know, you are a member of the Florida Camera Club Council because you're part of BPC. So, but you go in, you do have to pay them a little bit of money to enter if you want to enter the competition, but it's cheap in comparison and it's fun because why not? And so that's coming up. I did want to give a little shout out too to Lee Gardner because she's doing a great job with our Facebook challenges and she's coming up with some really different titles. So if you didn't notice, we're doing them monthly now. So I figured I would highlight them in our monthly meetings. And the one that she just launched for April is all about your hobby. So the BPC Hobby Challenge, and you can post pictures of it. And Leslie Kirkwood, if you're on, there's some of your handiwork. I love that she's exhibiting or showing in her header. Okay. And with that said, I'm gonna You, Susan, if you want to say anything, let me know. But Derek is, as I mentioned, he's a longtime member of our club, and he is going to be our wonderful speaker today. And I know that I personally have wanted this for a very long time to get you to speak about travel. So I'm going to stop sharing here so you can pick up. And he's going to help us all learn how to do better photography on our travel trips. And one of the things is getting out there to travel. So, Derek, you have the
Yeah.
floor, sir.
Thanks, Liz. So thanks for the very appreciated introduction. So looking forward to sharing with this group. Knowing we're all on Zoom, I absolutely would love and welcome questions throughout the presentation. If you want to chat it, that's fine. If you want to interrupt me, that's fine too. It won't ruin my flow, so feel free to interact. That's ideally the best way to do this. And you guys can see just the slide. Is that right? You're not
Yes.
seeing my presentation notes, my
Yes.
cheat sheets. All right. Well, let's jump in then. So I've done this presentation before. I did it for St. Augustine Camera Club, and I've tweaked it quite a bit based on the feedback because it was a great session. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we're hoping to do here today. What we're hoping to do is talk about really approach versus technical skill. That this is not a technical skill conversation. This is a blending your travel and photography together. If you're like me, you might have an amazing spouse who appreciates and supports your hobby, but doesn't care to do it themselves. And so, as part of that, there's always a little bit of a balance where you're trying to do both things. So, enjoy your time traveling, but also take advantage of some of the amazing things that you can see. Vacationing and travel offers a whole bunch of things that you don't get to see in your day to day. So, diverse landscape, culture, experience, and opportunities to tell stories. And I'm sure that when our panel of experts talk about how this photo could be better later this year, a lot of what they're going to hone in on is storytelling. And that is usually what makes a great photo. So, this presentation is really focused on incorporating your travel photography into your vacation and try and make something truly captivating. Did we something jump through? So let's try that again. So yeah, so this is a good example. We were at Oktoberfest a couple years ago. Not the ideal photo, but a chance to try and capture something real time. And if you know a little bit about Oktoberfest, there's two irrefutable rules you don't break. Number one is you don't stand on the tables, and that's going on right here, right now. The other is you cannot chug your beer. They do not allow that. That will get you thrown out. This man lucked out. He did both, much to the crowd's amazement and joy and applause, and managed to not get himself kicked out. But part of those things is you have to be on the lookout for interesting things happening. So we'll look at the agenda today. Really, four key areas we're going to focus on. But let's start with a big caveat. There's no right or wrong way to do this. This is really my approach, the way that I tackle it. And my goal really here today is really just to inspire you to think about it, maybe attack it differently than you have before, or incorporate some things that you've learned today. I'm open to feedback and critique. When I chatted with the St. Augustine Camera Club on this, they gave me ideas that I thought were amazing. And some of them are included in here because we all have different experiences and different things that we've discovered. So today we're going to talk about some practical approaches, preparation, basically packing and what you need to pack, research, which is a very key component to understanding where you're going, composition, and not technical composition, but a little bit of technical, but really focusing on capturing the essence of where you're at and creating an epic image instead of a snapshot. Whenever we as photographers hear, oh, that looks like a snapshot, that cuts to our core. We always hope that it's not a snapshot. And then being creative and respectful of the places that you're at. And then lastly, plan B, preparing for the worst, preparing for when things don't go according to plan. And there always seems to be something. So with that, let's talk about preparation. So before you even take that first shot, Do you have a routine? We use recipes in the kitchen, so that way we get consistent results. We don't wing it typically. And so what we're trying to do here is create similar habits, create some muscle memory, things that are automatic. Um, Try and avoid some of the simple mistakes. And even with a routine, things happen, mistakes happen. Hence why we're going to talk about Plan B at the end of this. So my sample routine, it starts with research. Before I go anywhere, I spend a lot of time researching, and we'll go into that in depth in the next section. The next thing is checking your equipment and testing it. Ensure that your settings have been reset if needed. You know, maybe you were out on an astrophotography trip most recently, and everything's set up for long exposure or time lapse. You know, go back in and reset back to where you think you need to be. Ensure your batteries and equipment are charged and clean and ready. And these all sound pretty straightforward, but I was actually at a shoot in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, a sunset shoot of the cityscape, and the woman next to me showed up with 2 dead batteries.
Mm.
And so thankfully we both shot Canon. So I'm like, here you go. You can have my spare. And that's local travel. You're not even going anywhere. You're going, you know, a little bit from home. Making sure you have and use multiple cards of an appropriate size. And I'll sidebar a little bit on that. Do you really need giant cards? And if anybody's priced out memory lately in the last 90 days, prepare to get a second mortgage on your home if you need new memory. But ideally in travel, reasonably sized cards are better than large cards, and we'll talk about that. And then lastly, lay everything out on the table and look it over before you pack. And that way you can actually put hands on and eyes on everything you think you have versus packing it into a bag where you no longer see it. So my sample gear list, and it's just to be clear, Susan was telling us about safari that she's going to go on next year. If you're packing for a safari, you're taking multiple bags, you're taking the kitchen sink, you're taking everything under the sun that you want, that you would want. That is not this packing list. This is meant to be truly that photography is being integrated into your travel and not the sole focus. So a couple things, camera body is an obvious thing. Lens or lenses, and make sure you have the right ones. We'll come to that. Tripod or tripods, compact or full, tabletop, things like that. What do you really need? What are you looking to do? On that note for tripods, I travel with and I've shown it to some of you, and I would show it to you here, but it's sitting in Atlanta in my apartment, a 6-inch tabletop tripod that can literally hold a 70-200 f2.8 and not tip over. And that's the only tripod I take with me traveling when it's vacation, because I found that works in 99.9% of times. More often than not, it's set up on a trash can or it's set up on something else to give it a little bit of height, but it's small enough that I can keep it with me the entire time, and I'm not taking along this larger thing. Batteries, pretty obvious, but also a battery brick. And that dovetails well into the next one, which is chargers and converters. Most battery bricks are USB-C capable nowadays, as well as most cameras are USB-C capable today. And so many, not all, but many cameras can be charged in real time while being used off of a battery brick in case you get into a pinch and don't necessarily have time to charge a battery, or you've already depleted the batteries that you have with you. But by all means, take advantage of USB-C if you can. I don't even bring the regular wall chargers anymore. I charge everything for USB-C while I'm traveling because I go very lightweight. I only travel with a carry-on bag. I don't check any baggage, and it doesn't matter how long I'm traveling for. Filters, neutral density, polarizer, UV clear. The first two are pretty straightforward in what they're used for, but UV clear is sometimes a little controversial. Some people don't believe in them. I would love to have a lively debate with you on UV filters later in this conversation with physical evidence of the benefits of a UV filter. Cleaning cloth, cleaning kit, just in case you're in a dusty location and you need to shore things up. A collapsible hood. I wish I had brought one with me to show you on here. I don't have a picture, but it's effectively a rubber hood that stretches over the end of your camera and allows you to press the rubber up against glass. That way you can shoot through glass without having any glare. They're literally $10 on Amazon. And they fold up to be the size of an envelope, of like a letter envelope, very small. Remote triggers in case you want to do any type of long exposure or selfie shooting or things like that. And then a travel bag with a GPS tracker. And I said bag, not backpack. So, whether it's a Apple AirTag or a Tile or whatever your choice is, but by all means, it's a small expense. It's definitely worthwhile. And then the last thing is gaffer's tape. If you're not familiar with gaffer's tape, it's a cloth-based tape that's similar to duct tape. You can tear it with your hands, but it's good in a pinch for fixing things that break or temporarily supporting things. I don't travel with a roll of it. I literally wrap my lens hood with 3 or 4 loops of it, and then that way I just peel off some if I need it. And if I don't need it, it's just wrapped around the lens hood and out of the way otherwise. So this is what my typical travel pack out looks like. 2 lenses, 3 batteries, a case of SD cards, the mini tripod, and the lens hood. This is the collapsible lens hood. This is the mini tripod. And this all fits into a bag that is 6 by 9 by 6. And if you look at the video side of me, it's this big. It's vertically that big.
Derek, what's your, I see one of them is a 24-105. What's the other one?
16 to 35. Yeah, great question. 16 to 35 and a 24 to 105. And the reason for that is if I need to, I have enough megapixels, I can crop if I need to zoom in. And I've found that works pretty well across the board. If I know, like I'm going to go out west in May, Grand Canyon, et cetera area, I'll pack a 70 to 200 in lieu of one of those lenses. So I'll definitely change. So this is not a hard and fast rule, but for the most part, this is my pretty steady go-to.
Derek, what kind of tripod is that? I mean, that looks really compact and small.
It is. It's actually pretty beefy. It is. I'll have to look it up. I've shared it with a number of people in the club before too, and I probably should get a commission for it. I think it's called iPower or iBuyPower. It's actually a 2-for-1, and what it is it is a mini tripod, but it's also the base for their video monopod. So it screws in their video monopod. And it has a quick release bracket on it as well too. So if you screw the bracket into the underside of the camera body, it can quick release from it relatively easy. But it's not like your standard Arca plate or anything like that for a tripod. But I'll get you the link for that.
Terrific. And you made a point of saying a bag, not a backpack. Is that just a personal choice, or have you found there's been problems with backpacks?
Yeah. So the reason bag, not backpack is you can't take a backpack into the Royal Palace in Madrid. You can't take a backpack into Auschwitz in Poland. You can't take a backpack into the Alcazar in Spain. You can't take a backpack. I can keep going. But you can take that bag. You can take that bag. That bag's made it into and that's literally a $25 bag off of Amazon that doesn't look like a camera bag. And you can take the bag in, and that's the reason why, is because backpacks are verboten in many, many historic places. I know a number of people have been to Antelope Canyon out in Arizona. No bags. Can't bring that. So that wouldn't even work, but you're definitely not bringing a backpack into Antelope Canyon. So my goal is smaller is better. That said, a quick sidebar to that, which is this pack out is a full frame camera pack out. If you really want to be lighter, you can go small. You can go with an APS-C or a compact sensor, camera, and those lenses, which are significantly smaller. If I had the visual for you, I'd hold up the two comparable to each other, and it's literally several pounds difference in weight and multiple inches in size. I can't show you that because my son has that camera right now and has yet to return it to me, and he's in Orlando. um, but definitely a big difference. This whole pack out weighs 7.2 pounds. Everything in there, everything in that bin, including the bag, weighs 7.2 pounds.
And
Derek,
Derek,
what's
you
the
don't
name of
pro-
that bag?
I'll get you the link for it as well too. It's again, it's an Amazon bag, nothing special. They make two sizes. They make a medium and a little bit larger, and a little bit larger it gets you like
Okay.
another inch or two. I have them both, but I'll send that back to Liz and team. And
Thank you.
yeah, you bet.
and Derek, you don't bring two bodies because you don't
No.
ever worry that one's going to die.
So remember our conversation at the beginning of this, which is there's no problem money can't solve.
Ah, I hear you.
Yeah. Now that said, I would be hard pressed to buy a new body while traveling. But I'm not hard on my equipment, but I use it with reckless abandon. And yeah, I don't think I've ever had, knock on wood, ever had anything goes completely sideways on a trip. And if it does, you get your smartphone in your pocket, and we'll talk about that.
That's true too.
That's
What's
part
the
of my,
thing with
that's
the
part of my big,
red? What's the red thing?
this thing,
The
Yeah.
tripod. It's a
Oh,
mini tabletop tripod.
oh man, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So it literally, like I said, it is very beefy. And so you can put, and this is what I do. I literally screw the mount into the camera body, not into the lens. So like even like on a 70 to 200 with the foot, I don't screw it into that, and it can still hold the balance of a 70 to 200 being that far forward. Surprisingly, that's why I like it. I've bought a number of different small tripods like that and returned all but that one,
Who
like the
makes
Gorilla
that tripod,
Pods.
Derek?
What's that?
Who makes that tripod?
I'll get you all the link. I think it's a company named iPower or something like that. I bought it like 10 years ago. But yeah, I'll send a link for that and the bag later on, or post a meeting, and then that way we can do that. But again, I'm sure like most of you, I have a small addiction to camera bags. I think I have more camera bags than cameras. But this is my preferential pack out.
Hey, Derek, how big is that bag? How long is it?
It is literally, Dave, is literally, I think 9 by 9 by 6.
Pretty small.
It is pretty small, but it fits. When I fly, I have OCD like that. I take the body off of the lens. It can fit both lenses and the body in there, no problem. While I'm flying, but then when I'm actually traveling, usually a lens is attached to it the whole time, and the lenses just sit side by side. There's a front pouch and a back pouch too, to hold other stuff, your cell phone,
Yeah.
batteries, things like that. But there's not a lot of extra space. You would not you could put a 70 to 200 in there, but not attached to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? So just as a thought, we were talking about this, and I said this weighs 7.2 pounds, and I weighed it on the little kitchen scale. I took a trip to Poland one year where I took 16 to 35, 24 to 70, 70 to 200, two bodies, and I ended up hating myself. And I ended up picking one or two lenses a day in one body, and that was it. Everything else got left in the hotel room. And I weighed those three lenses, and those three lenses are 7 pounds just on their own. So forget any other equipment. And that was kind of my epiphany that I needed to lighten things up to be able to do both travel and photography.
I have a 28 to 400. Would that work in that bag?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Okay.
What brand is
If
that?
you say it's Amazon, you could always try it and send it back too.
Yeah, that's what I did. I literally
Yeah.
bought one. I bought multiples. I'm a big fan of Think Tank bags, and Think Tank makes some small ones that are like this. And I bought 2 different ones and sent them both back because I couldn't fit the stuff in there that I wanted to fit in there. Great
Yeah, it's
bags,
fine.
but just not what I was looking for.
Okay.
All right, moving on. So we're going to talk about research now. And this is really where I think I spend the most volume of my time getting things ready. So when I say research, it's really the culture, the landscapes, the landmarks, and you can go out to, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, TripAdvisor, all the different travel blogs, and get all kinds of inspiration. Um, there are very few places left on this planet that some other photographer hasn't beat us to already. And so as a result of that, by all means, take advantage of what they've done and what they've visualized to give you some inspiration. So what I do is I virtually scout locations. And so you can utilize Google Images, um, Google Maps, and the Street View functions for pre-visualization. And so when I say Google Images, if you go into Google and type in where you're going, and this is Munich, Germany, it's the new Rathaus, which is the new town hall in Marienplatz in Munich, and click on the image tab, which is the second one over, I believe, from the main results. It'll pop up hundreds of images for you. And you can scroll through that and see the different perspectives and the different styles that people have taken and just get a sense for what you're looking at. Once you've done that, then you can go into Google Maps itself. That was Google Images. So you go into Google Maps and go into the Street View. So if you're in the maps, there's a little guy in the corner that you drag the cursor down to, and it'll pop you into a Street View. And you can actually manipulate it around and walk around like you're on the street, clicking the arrows to say, hey, I want to go to different places and get a sense for what you see before you've actually seen it. So in my case, more often than not, before I actually go to intentionally take a picture of something, I've looked at it virtually for 15 or 20 minutes before I've actually gone there. So when I get there, I have a good sense of what I want to do. I'm not surprised by the location. And so once you've done that, then you can ultimately say, hey, I'm going to get my classic shot. Like we saw a number of those shots in the Google Images view that were very traditional. I think a lot of you have seen them before. Get those shots. Make sure you get them. Everybody should have them in their portfolio. But then try and get creative. Try and think differently and say, hey, is there a different shot that I haven't seen on there that maybe I can get from somewhere else? Which is, in this case, the church tower that's directly across from the town hall. Downside is you got 300 plus stairs to climb to get there, but no elevator, but it's a different view. So I have all the great ones of this, both daytime and nighttime, but I said I'd like to get one that I haven't seen elsewhere. And part of that was, as I'm looking around at Google Maps, I'm like, oh, there's a church tower right across the square. And so take full advantage of that. As part of that, too, you want to visit iconic locations during off-peak hours. You get better lighting, fewer crowds, and ultimately can have a much better time composing and editing versus if you were doing it during the peak day. So this is sunrise on the canals in Amsterdam, and the left-hand side of the frame is that golden, orangey yellow because the sun is just peeking over the buildings. On the right-hand side, we still have that kind of cool blue effect to them. And there's nobody on the water and there's nobody on the roads. And, it's just, you got to get up early to get that type of shot. You're not going to get that later in the day, especially when the sun is up overhead. Additionally, time of day can play a role because you can see things that are just mediocre. This is Warsaw, Poland. This is the Palace of Science and Culture. It's a very Soviet bloc era type building. The Soviets repeated this building in multiple different cities all around Eastern and Central Europe, and nothing particularly interesting about it. But if you come back after sunset, they light it up. And that purpley violet blue color is the color that they light it up with. So completely changes your perspective on what the building looked like. So as part of that too, you want to think, and I mentioned earlier, you want to think about accessibility, stairs, confined spaces, going back to packing light, right? That's part of it. Is, you know, everyone has different capabilities, capacities, and so how much gear you want to bring is up to what you feel comfortable doing. You know, from worth mentioning, 551 steps to the stop of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, 702 steps to the second level of the Eiffel Tower. There is an elevator if you can get on it. You can get your ticket. 463 steps to the top of the Duomo in Florence, 343 to the top of St. Stephen's in Vienna. That's a one-way staircase. And so for those of you that know me, imagine meeting me in a 3-foot wide circular staircase. That is quite the game of chicken that you're going to have to contend. And that's where backpacks and things like that really become a net negative on your experience. So last thing, keep an open mind. You know, people, scenery, architecture, food, history, everything that is in the area can surprise you, and sometimes you can get some amazing images. We walked by a horse and carriage stand, I think 3 or 4 times before it finally clicked in my brain, hey, dummy, take a picture. And on the last night that I was there, took a picture. And just, you know, neat little end of winter time thing where the horses are all still bundled up with their long coats and everything. And just a fun thing that I ignored for the first 3 days I was there, and then finally it clicked for me, hey, this is probably a halfway decent photo. Moving on, composition. So capturing the essence of travel. So this is part of the how do you try and create some epic images instead of just taking snapshots. And we're gonna take snapshots. Lord knows my phone gets fuller and fuller every year with pictures that I love and I love to look at and I love to pull back up. But we're trying for a little bit more than that. So in framing your shots, we talked about early in the morning, later in the evening for taking advantage of the golden hours, the blue hours. So take advantage of sunrise and sunset. You get soft diffused light. Usually you can capture some starbursts in the evening. In the morning, you might get some God rays and things like that. But ultimately, you know, use those to your advantage. And so this is right as the sun dipped below the horizon. This is Dresden, Germany. And everything just came together at the right time for me. I knew I wanted this picture. I'd been to Dresden previously and had missed out on it because the skyline had been dotted with cranes, and I didn't want to Photoshop like 6 cranes out of this picture. And so when I returned there a number of years later, the opportunity presented itself.
What city is that?
Dresden, Germany. So then composition. I know we've had great hosts before talk about composition techniques, and I'm sure they will again too when we get ready for the photography contest. But you do want to focus on rule of thirds for balanced framing. You want to focus on leading lines to draw attention to the subject, particularly cityscapes and architecture. And you want to look for patterns for artistic depth and texture. So Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, Germany, is always at least this crowded. And when you're there during the day, capture your snapshots and things like that, and enjoy it. But come back in the morning or come back at night when no one's there and get something a little more entertaining. And here I was able to actually get down low and capture the patterns in the pavers and the geometry there, as well as the leading lines coming into it. So same thing. And in my case, it took no real extra effort to go back by here. We were going to be coming by that at a later point anyway. So, but it's that mental checklist to say, this would be a great photo, just not right now. And then the types of shots that you want to look at can vary. You know, landscapes, cityscapes, culture, highlighting the culture there. The landscapes, focusing on things that capture the size and the epicness of the beauty and the nature that you're seeing. And so as part of that, things that resonate to you. This is Zaandam, right outside of Amsterdam in the Netherlands, capturing the functioning windmills. That these things are actually alive and kicking, and they're not just for show. So, architecture, and there are people who are way better at architecture shooting than me in our club. But just Bill is one of the people that comes to mind. And he's phenomenal. So I aspire, but you will often see stuff and say, that this clicks. So One World Trade Center in New York, and I saw this coming out of a hotel one day and said, "Oh my!" And this just works between the low clouds and the reflections off the building. And this was shot with an iPhone 7, just to be clear. Like, so when in doubt, if you don't have a camera, like Liz asked earlier, you've got one in your pocket all the time. And spend a few minutes and framing it and getting the spot and moving your feet around to get what you want, and you can come up with something that you like. And I like this one. Cultural moments, there's things that showcase local customs and traditions, activities, sometimes around food, history, traditions. By all means, take candid shots for authentic storytelling. But in the same breath, too, if you're showing faces and features and whatnot, ask for permission. I think it's just in my word, and I know some people feel differently about this. I've asked complete strangers if it's okay if I take their picture, and they're fine. Artisans blowing glass at a workshop. Hey, do you care if I take your picture? No, they're fine with that, or things like that. But ultimately, I find that it makes for a better engagement, and more importantly, I find that sometimes they pose a little bit better for you because they know you're taking their picture. They want to showcase their stuff that you're doing that you find interesting as well. This is obviously Taj Mahal in Agra, India. A lot of rules for cameras there, and so I put this photo in there because it comes back to there's rules to follow, and make sure you know those rules ahead of time. Like there are a number of places in India as a country, Mumbai and Delhi in particular, where you cannot take selfies. You will get a ticket for taking a selfie, and they'll confiscate your camera. So we talked a little bit there about the creativity and being respectful. I hit on the ethical piece already, right? So I'm jumping around a hair. So yeah, seek permission of people. By all means, I think that's it. If you can't, that's your judgment call. My hot take is I always ask. But come back to the creative piece. Experiment with different perspectives, think differently. Going back to the research, right? People get pictures of the same thing again and again and again, and by all means, we should get those too. We're not devoid of why those pictures are great, but you want to try and challenge yourself to think a little bit differently. So this is a TV tower, a nice, good, again, Soviet TV tower in Prague, Czech Republic. That's pretty widely photographed. Nothing particularly special about it. But part of what I was intrigued by and knew about this is you see the little babies that are crawling on the tower, which is a separate art installation by an artist named David Cherney. And that's what I was focused on, but I knew that shooting it from this far away, which wasn't all that far, just looked special as a snapshot in my mind. So I probably walked around this thing for 15 minutes before I finally said, I think I know what I like. And
That's in Prague.
That's in Prague.
You won a nice award on that one.
I did win an award. I won a couple at this one. So, and I probably took like 10 different framings of this to get to where I liked it. But again, it's the think differently. There's always something neat there. There's a neat detail to focus on, and challenge yourself to get a little bit out of your normal routines. Use reflections. As we were watching the slideshow earlier, a number of amazing both landscape and wildlife photos there that had amazing reflections in there. And by all means, that's something that we can all leverage. Nature's mirrors are bonus material to work with when out shooting, and really creates a dynamic nature to your pictures that otherwise doesn't necessarily come together. This is in Sevilla, Spain. I credit to my son at the time, who I think was like 12 years old, who said, "Dad, you got to come look at this." And I said, "What is it?" And it's a tunnel. And I'm like, "All right, whatever." And so I followed him in there. And then I said, "Oh, now I get it." And so these are the royal baths at the Alcazar in Sevilla. And I would not have got this if it were not for my son. So he likes to take credit for it. That he was the reason I saw this. Otherwise, I'd have completely missed this. This wasn't in my research. I totally blew past it. And so slow down and enjoy the things that are there. And then similarly too, we keep talking about the get the shots that everybody else gets. This is the Gelderse, if I said that right, canal in Amsterdam. This shot's been taken a million times. It's fantastic. It's great. There's always a space between the boats along the dock lines there to get this shot. There's never not there. But I had to take it too. It's like, while you're there, you may as well take it and enjoy it, and take pleasure in the fact that you were in these places. And additionally, you can do things like include different props, travel guides, things that are very creative. Think like some of the stuff that people do for stock photography and whatnot, but they can help part of your storytelling for yourself. And so as part of that, a photo like this, and truth be told, my wife tells me I don't take enough people pictures. And so she's right. This is actually a stock photo. I did not do this. But, by all means, if you're traveling with your spouse or partner or whomever, fun pictures like this, take advantage of, in this case, you're in the markets and you're out traveling. It's a great opportunity to have something that creates a memory of your journeys. We talked about the seeking permission. The other thing worth mentioning is avoid disrupting natural habitats or restricted areas. We were in the Alps a couple years ago, 7,000 or 8,000 feet up, and this guy jumped the fence and literally stood outside the fence on the rock cliff edge, taking selfies and shooting GoPro video of himself. And the entire time I'm like, we're going to see this on the news tomorrow. If nothing else, right, he put himself in danger, but he put the potential first responders in danger, things like that, put the habitat in danger. The fence was there for a reason. So I think pretty much everybody in this conversation understands that, but just keep that in mind, right? That part of our goal is to leave no trace when we're out in nature and habitats like that. The other thing, cultural context, right? Things that are very sensitive. Sistine Chapel in Rome, not my photo, stock photo. Why is it not my photo? Because you're not allowed to take photos in there. And if you do, same thing, they will take your camera and kick you out. So just don't try. If you want to see it, go online, search Sistine Chapel. You'll come up with a bazillion well-executed photos, better than you can get from the floor of the Sistine Chapel. As such, I Googled, hey, where are there countries or regions with photography restrictions? And this is not comprehensive and it's not perfect, but this is what I got. I got a whole bunch of things that even surprised me. Photographing women in South Korea without their consent is considered a sexual aggression act. You're probably going to spend some time with the local police if that's the case, right? We mentioned Vatican City. Photography is not allowed in the Sistine Chapel, right? Mumbai, India, selfie taking is prohibited in 16 separate locations, and all those locations are all historical significant locations. So do some research before you go. For those of you that are drone photographers too, I know we've had a number of experts in the drone community come and talk to us about regulations, but the bar for that's even higher. So just make sure you know what's good and what's not good. All right, last section. Let's talk about Plan B. What happens when things do not go according to plan? Because they always do. Sometimes memory cards go bad. Truth be told, I broke this one apart. I think it's like a 8 megabyte card from 2002. But I've had cards cracked before. I'm sure similar things have happened to other people. I'm sure we've had corrupt cards. There's two types of photographers. Those that have had a memory card fail and those who haven't had it happen to them yet. So use extras, bring extras, shoot redundant. We'll talk about that a little bit. But by all means, that's what we're doing. Dead batteries. Not only can batteries go dead, but they can stop taking a charge. And so, they have a finite lifespan. They can only take so many recycle charges before they truly just go dead, or they take a charge and last for 10 minutes and then they go dead. So, ensure you have extras and, react accordingly. This one's a fun one. I love this one. And I think it was Helen who asked earlier about lenses. Wrong lens. So this is my most recent blunder. Is that Canon's 24-105 and Canon's 16-35 look identical. And if you're in a hurry and packing and you say, hey, I am going to be on the move a lot this trip and I only want to take my 24-105, and you grab the 16-35, you're going to be really disappointed. So damn you, Canon, for making them look almost the same. And that's what I did. I went to the Nordics a couple years ago and I wanted to take the 24-105 and I took the 16-35. So that entire trip was shot with the 16-35. Except on day 2, I dropped that 16-35 when it was 10 degrees out and freezing cold onto a granite sidewalk. And I was being a nice photographer and taking somebody else's picture, and I use a wrist strap, and it slid right off my wrist strap and landed lens first right on the granite and shattered the UV filter. And that was it. It shattered the lens hood too, but I peeled the glass out back in my hotel. As you can still see, the lens, the metal ring, the brass ring is still embedded in the lens hood. That stayed there till I could get home and put a pair of pliers on it. But zero damage suffered from the lens, and I didn't have to ship it off to Canon or buy a new one or anything like that. It cost me a $60 filter when all was said and done. So I agree that having an extra piece of glass in front of your lens is probably slightly tweaking light in ever the most slight way, but my goodness, when you're out traveling, you won't be sad that you put a filter on there and when you drop it. Locations closed. So back to doing research, dig deep, make sure that things aren't under renovation. I've got a trip later this year where I'm going to finish in Gibraltar, and I've been to Gibraltar before, but the tram to the top of Gibraltar is currently under renovation for another year and a half. So I would be really disappointed to have to hike 4,000 vertical feet to go to the top of that. So pay attention to that. This is, somebody's going to ask a question, I think. Nope. Okay. This is the astronomical clock in Prague. Very famous location, very beautiful photo. Not my photo. And the reason it's not my photo is because that's my photo. When I showed up, it was under renovation and wasn't going to be reopened for a couple of years. And yeah, I've since been back and gotten some nice photos of it, but it was more fun to show it this way. So going back to your research, do a little bit digging. Is it open? Is it accessible? Things like that. And then our last one is Liz brought up, what happens if your body craps out, or you have an issue with your body? Well, we have smartphones, and pretty much all of us take smartphones everywhere. And sometimes you still need to check. Is it okay to use a smartphone to take pictures, or do they have a potential ban on cameras altogether? We've all been in places where they don't want to see like a big DSLR mirrorless camera come out of somebody's bag. They tell you no and wave you off. And so as part of that, it's not just using your smartphone, but many of the newer phones have the ability to shoot RAW or DNG. So I think on the iPhone Pro models that are out today, you can shoot RAW on your own. You can select RAW. Same with the Samsung phones. I believe there's an option to shoot RAW. But alternatively, if you are a Lightroom user, which I know a number of you are, Lightroom Mobile allows you to actually turn your phone into the same as your DSLR. And so I did a little bit screen video here for you, all that I'll walk you through, and I'll narrate as I go through. But I'm basically going to walk you through the functionality of your standard phone just using the Lightroom app. And this bailed me out the day I dropped my camera. I took the rest of my pictures all day long doing this. So this is very apropos. So if you go into the Lightroom app, it'll give you at the bottom to be able to select professional mode, or you can, there's also an auto function, and there's also an HDR function. But in the Pro format, you can go back and forth between DNG and JPEGs. You can also toggle into the HDR if you're looking for high dynamic range type stuff. But in the Pro mode, you see that the toolbar came up where you can select your shutter speed, you can select your ISO, you can select your white balance, you can select your center metering points. So a lot of the same functionality that you would have off of your camera today, you can then take control of on your phone, which is not normal in the normal camera functionality of most of these phones. You can digitally zoom as well. You also get the opportunity to take full advantage of your flash function, and you don't have to default to your camera's flash functionality. It has built-in filters, which I'm not a fan of, but some people are very creative with those. So you can leverage filters straight out of the app. Particularly if you're looking for like a sepia or like a black and white. And then the flash, you can go through and you can toggle on or off or still back into auto mode, but you get a little bit more control than you would just through the straight camera app on the phone. And so coming back to the preparing for the worst, while you're traveling, make sure you do backups. So shoot redundant if you have 2 card slots. If you don't have 2 card slots, carry extra memory cards and rotate them. And by rotating them, pull them out and put them back into the case every few days. And I recommend doing that even if you have 2 slots. I only do it for the second slot. I rotate the second slot every couple days, and then keep those in your hotel room, locked up in the safe or somewhere safe that they're not with you. Alternatively, you can back up to the cloud or to a laptop or to an external drive every day. Don't erase cards. I know I gave a tech talk earlier about memory storage and storing that. Don't erase your cards till you have everything on your computer, on your backups and everything like that. Like, keep everything on your cards. And I always shoot to have 3 separate copies for finality. So your card, drive, and cloud before I delete anything. Definitely don't keep full cards in your camera bag. If your camera bag gets stolen, misplaced, things like that, you're just out of luck. Ideally keep them, away from extreme temperatures. Don't leave them in a car, trunk of a car, things like that, or anywhere there's moisture. I actually left my camera bag carabinered to the underside of a table at Oktoberfest a couple years ago. I walked out of the tent, went into a different tent, was gone for at least 40 minutes before I realized, holy crap, I left thousands of dollars worth of stuff carabinered to the underside of the picnic table. Thankfully, it was still there when I went back, but things can go wrong. And that was early in the morning. It was not alcohol fueled, just to be crystal clear. But even the best laid plans can be quickly upset. So keep that in mind. So as part of that too, insurance. Many of us do carry additional insurance, whether it's through PPA or through your homeowners or things like that. But definitely look at the insurance, what's covered, what's not. Make sure you understand what exclusions and limits there are. Make sure you have all your gear documented, serial numbers, model numbers, things like that. If you're a Canon shooter like me, it's super easy. If you have a Canon account, you can keep track of everything in there. It's very nice. I'm sure the other manufacturers do the same thing. Understand what a claims process looks like, because when something bad happens, we all are in that panic mode, like leaving your bag in another tent. And then also make sure that if you have particularly expensive equipment, that it's covered. Sometimes there's exclusions when it hits a certain dollar value, things like that, and go from there. And then a little thing too, don't rely solely on travel insurance. That often has very clear-cut exclusions for electronics and things like that. A audible for this group, just because it's something I do, I didn't put this in the presentation. We do buy health insurance, international health insurance, if we're traveling internationally. It is very inexpensive for a 1-year policy. I think it's the one we bought last year was $220 for a full year, and it was through Florida Blue. I'll add that to the links if you all want. You can get $1 million for I think $400 and some change. But know that your health insurance does not cover you internationally. And I say that very matter of factly. It will cover some things. More often than not, you're going to have to pay out of pocket and then look to try and get reimbursed. My oldest son was in Cartagena, Colombia, a couple weeks ago, and one of his traveling companions ruptured his appendix. And thankfully, he's okay. Everything's okay, but he had to pay out of pocket before they would literally take him back for surgery. And his insurance company is going to cover the expenses, but a couple $100 on top of the cost of your trip. And if you could buy, like I buy it annually, very, very small cost. And then lastly, take preventive measures, right? Use your camera bags, use an air tag. Don't leave your equipment unattended, carabiner to the underside of a picnic table, car seats, hotels. As Liz mentioned earlier, I'd say I'm temporarily living in Atlanta right now. One of the first things you learn in Atlanta is you don't leave anything in your car. Doesn't matter where you're going, doesn't matter you don't leave anything in your car. So same rules apply. And then as part of that too, just for fun and entertainment, this picture was taken about 3 seconds before I dropped a brand new GoPro in 100 feet of water in West Palm Beach. We were shark diving and scuba diving, and this guy came up from behind me and scared the living bejesus out of me. Got a halfway decent picture, slightly blurry, but even though I thought the GoPro was carabinered to my vest, it was not. I dropped it, so had to get a buddy and go down and chase it down to go get it. So, hence, I did get the GoPro back, but I literally brand new had just gotten it that week to replace my old GoPro. So even the best laid plans, bad stuff happens sometimes. So you gotta keep that in mind, that if you plan for it, you end up in a better place than not planning for it. So, and taking us to the close here. Travel photography really for me, and hopefully for you, it's just about finding that balance between enjoying your travels as well as integrating your hobby, and living in that moment and capturing things. So spending that time preparing, spending that time focusing on your techniques. Like again, we all are reasonably well versed in the technical side of things. Thinking creatively gives you that chance to really immortalize and capture some of those amazing images. So pack your bags and enjoy. Questions?
First, we say thank you. Yay. And
Hey,
Cindy,
thank you.
thank you, dear.
Yes,
Was very good.
Thank you.
I may be checking with you on some things as I get closer to my travel date.
Cindy, you want me to ask this question for you? Or you want to ask it? What she's saying is, do you use any AI tools to plan, Derek?
That's a great question. Of the late, yes, and here's what I do. So the first thing I do is, one of my hobbies is actual travel planning, and we were chatting about this before this meeting started today. That's part of the fun for me is doing the research of places to go and fun things to do. But once we've narrowed it down, what I used to do is I used to go to like TripAdvisor or places like that and search what are the top 10 attractions or things that are in that location if I don't already have a good idea. But that was a good way to balance that. Now that I find you can use Copilot, Gemini, whatever tool of your choice, and say, and I've done this, please plan me a 7-day itinerary for Colorado Springs, Frisco, Colorado, and Denver from May 2nd through May 9th, 2026, taking into account any local events or activities that may be occurring in any of these cities. I'll be in these cities from this date to this date, this date to this date, and so on. It'll give you a lot. It'll be by the way, that's a real trip, obviously, coming up. But it told me like, hey, that there is an MLS soccer game in Denver the night that we're in Denver, and like that's great. I probably wouldn't have looked that up on my own, but now that I did, I'm like, okay, I might go get tickets to go see that game while we're out there. But that helps me add more to the things that I want to do. But then from there, you can use it as much or as little as you want. The key with AI is it's only as good as the prompt. It's like all computers. It's garbage in, garbage out, and so you have to be very thoughtful with your prompts and how you prompt it. Um, Disclosure moment: I actually do AI for a living. That's what I do. Um, so um, and so as part of that, you have to validate. There's still a maker checker component to it that is required in order to ensure that you didn't get garbage. You could get information that's dated. That the astronomical clock is open, and unfortunately that information is from 2015, in which case it may not be open, and so you learn. But it's definitely a fun.
I kind of
Gene,
use it as a starting point.
totally, I love it. I'm partial to, and I change with the wind. Just to be clear, I was partial to Copilot for that over like Chat GPT. Copilot's going through some changes right now. It's not necessarily bad. It's still pretty good. I've been leveraging Claude a lot more recently, but I use that a lot at work too. And so what the whole point about it is, and you're hitting the nail right on the head, Cindy, is be curious and get in there and ask it questions and things like that, and you'll invariably find some pretty amazing information that might not be as readily accessible.
Nice.
I see Jean's question. Yes, it included life flights. It includes emergency transit, home, a whole bunch of other things, up into whatever the policy limits that you bought was. And I will pull. I'm sure I have it bookmarked. I'll pull it up here too and see if I can't drop it into the chat, but then we can send it out to people as well.
You're getting a lot of questions in here.
How do you get around people crowding into photos of popular places? Go at morning or at night.
Yeah.
It's the only answer. It's do you go in the morning or you go at night. I found that the AI tools in Photoshop and in Lightroom are pretty darn good at removing people. But, you go to the Charles Bridge in Prague over the Vltava River, and it's a pedestrian bridge. And if you go there after 9 a.m., there's literally 8,000 people on that bridge on any given moment. But if you go there at 6 a.m., there's nobody on it. And so you can do pretty well. Same thing post like 11 o'clock at night. It's fairly lightly traveled. The lights turn off on it at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't ask me why I know that. Because I came across it at about 3:30 in the morning one night, and all the lights were turned off, which was rather surprising.
Did you leave your wife at the hotel? Did she say, go have a good time? And then
So the latter. So she knows. Basically I tell her, hey, I'll be back by X time, and she just lets me go off and do that. And if I'm not back, she'll start calling me, but I'm always back. We were in Cologne, Germany in December as one of a bunch of places we went to. And Cologne Cathedral is spectacular, but there's always a million people in front of it taking pictures and selfies. And so I went out at about midnight, and it had just rained, which was even better because then you get the reflections off the ground. And that was great. I mean, I spent like 20, 30 minutes shooting all over, and there were like 5 other people out there, and most of them were doing what I was doing. So
you're reading these, right?
I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I got the chat up. Thank you. Have you ever tried to ask a local photography group on Facebook, etc., to find? No, but that's a great call out. I like that. That's a great idea. I might have to incorporate that. So I did just put in the chat it's Blue Cross Blue Shield. They rebranded last year. The Blue Cross Blue Shield Global Solutions is the insurance. And I'm just make a login real quick. As long as my password autofills, it wants to verify. Yeah, I'll come back to that one. Do I take my computer? I do not. I do not take any computers anymore. Even for work, I don't take a computer. I found that it is more of a headache than a benefit for me personally. I do travel with an iPad though, and you can, if you wanted to back up, because if you have a newer iPad that's USB-C, you can transfer. You could do data transfer from a camera to an iPad. I think all of the major camera manufacturers have an app to Bluetooth your camera to an iPad or your phone if you wanted to too. But I typically never edit while I'm traveling. And I try and travel very light. Our last trip in December was 17 days. I literally take a backpack and a roller bag. That's it. We'll do laundry halfway through the trip, just because it's easier than bringing multiple bags and carry-ons and things like that. Yeah, Roxanne, we shame our children into the adult children into, if you're going to travel with us, you can't check bags. And because we're paying for the trip, they have to follow our rules. What other questions we have? Yeah, the Google Image and Google Maps is a lot of fun. If you want, I can screen share again real quick and kind of give you a real time on that, because that one is hugely beneficial. Somebody pick a location for me. Somebody tell me something they want to research.
Istanbul.
Brilliant. Well done. You guys see my screen again?
Yes.
Awesome. Oh, by the way, additional thing too, kind of fun, kind of nerdy. Wait for it. So I tag everything when I go to it. So when I do my research, I'm tagging stuff on Google Maps ahead of time. So hence you see all the stars and flags and things like that. I find that my memory stinks, and so if I tag it, I can go back to it, whether it's a location or a restaurant or something like that. And so, or if it's a place I want to go, or it's a place that I need to go. So green flags for me mean I haven't been there yet, but it's on the list. The gold stars have been there. So, and I'll show you how to do that as we go into Istanbul here. So as you go into Google Maps, just trying to get in just deep enough here. Maiden's Tower. I'm picking a random one. Okay. So the first thing you can do twofold. So on maps, you can go in and see all the photos that other people have taken of this, just in maps, without doing the image search. Some people have videos. We got a video from a boat, but that's also an opportunity to look at it too. You don't have to necessarily just do it that way. Go back to layers. But then if you want to get into, I'm going to change its location because that's in the middle of the water. So that won't work. You go to the palace. So you're at the palace. It's a star attraction. Down here in the bottom corner, the little guy, here, the little yellow guy. Can you guys see that on the screen? Take, click, and hold, drag and drop. When you drag and drop, it'll highlight the roads where the Google Map cars have photographed. And you just release it and drop it, and it'll drop you into the middle of the area. And you just click through the road. Obviously, there's a huge giant wall here. But you can also rotate and see, all right, there's clear the outer walls of the palace. So you get a sense for it. So this is not a fantastic location to do this. However, fear not. What you can also do with the little guy in the corner, the little yellow man, is you see these light blue dots. These light blue dots are people's user submitted photos. And you can see, okay, well, there's a number of user submitted photos here. This is probably a decent spot. You drag and drop on that. And now you can see what other people have taken in the area and get a sense of what's around here. And then again, back to that research side of it, be able to truly immerse yourself into what you can see. So you're clearly on the fence. You can't get much further back. So in my mind, if I'm thinking about this, I'm like, okay, this is probably a wide angle lens shot. It's like a 16-35 lens to be able to take these photos, and get something that I like. So I'm planning accordingly for what I want to do if this is something that I wanted to have on my shot list. Alternatively, if you look out here at the main shot that we see here, somebody's clearly on a boat. Great. Now I'm looking for boat taxi tours. Like, are there boat tours of the river? Are there things that can get me this shot? Things like that. So that's part of how I use that to get there. And then so we go Istanbul. Back here, like I said, the images tab. This helps me, back to Cindy's question. This helps me go, all right, well, what are people taking pictures of? Because those are probably the same places I'd like to go to. I've not been to Istanbul yet, so that is on my list of places to go. But clearly some amazing shots here, different things. There's a balloon festival. Okay, am I going to be there when the balloon festival is going to be there? I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll change my trip because I want to be there for the balloon festival. But there are thousands upon thousands of images that are out there that you can look at. And then if you want to narrow it down even more and say, okay, let's look at the palace and see what's out there for the palace on the image function. Now you get a whole slew of photos inside and outside of what people have taken, people like us, professional photographers that are out there, stock photographers, tourism boards, whatnot, daytime, nighttime, and truly, whet your creative juices, right? Like, what are the things that interest me? What are the things that are intriguing? I love night photography. This one grabbed my eye. I'm like, okay, well, somebody took a decent night shot. What else could you do? What are the other options to do that? They took it on the water. How do you get on the water? Oh, well, look, this links me to a guided tour. That might be a water tour. So. What else?
Well, thank you. That was a great tip.
Absolutely. Also, you said, how do I then, so say I'm hunting around on Google Maps and so forth. How do I flag those things I want to?
Oh, great question. Yeah, thanks. I'll come back to that. So back here on the Palace, you just view your mobile or the browser. So there's a save function. And so you click on save and it comes up with different categories and you can create new lists and things like that. So like I have like I'll add restaurants in there, particularly if I'm traveling to someplace I haven't been before. We prefer to pre-screen restaurants. One of the two of us, not me, is a picky eater. And so we want to make sure that we have places that we want to go to. And so for me, if this is a place I want to go, and it certainly is, I'll tag it my want to go. And as you can tell there, I have 998 places I'd like to go. So it's extensive. But I'll add that to that. And then when I click out of it, it leaves a little flag for me.
Okay.
And that way I can remember. And you know, and just part of that is building itinerary. And part of that too is when we're actually planning out our days and things like that. We can look at the map. Let me give you I'll give you a real one coming up. Colorado Springs. So as I mentioned, I'm getting ready to go to Colorado Springs here in a couple weeks. Never been. And so I've gone through and pre-tagged everything that we're going to that's on our itinerary. I did star one place that I haven't been, but I started because it's the entrance to Pikes Peak, which is not accurate on Google Maps. And so they tell you it's not accurate, that it's this specific address. And so I tagged that specific address because they said that's how you actually get into Pikes Peak Highway. And just that way, I didn't miss it. I didn't screw it up. And then the other neat fun part, and I know I'm nerding out here with y'all, is when I actually go to these places, once we're there, I'll go in, usually via my mobile, and I'll untag it from want to go and tagged it to Ben. And so what that allows me to do then is it keeps track of what are the places that we still are supposed to go to. Because the way that we travel is we travel with a list of things that we want to do, but we may not do it all. We might and we might not, but we are not audible type people. We don't call audibles and say, hey, spur of the moment, let's go do this. It doesn't work for us. But with that list, those are our audibles. And so it works out well. But this is my way of keeping track because I've been tagged as navigator. And so I have to go through and make sure that we get to where we're going.
Are you logged on so when you have another device, you see all those places?
Yeah, so I do. As you can see up here, my shiny happy face, that picture is about 15 years old. And I'm going to keep it as long as I can because I have more hair there and I think I'm skinnier. Yeah, so I'm logged into my Gmail account. And so it syncs across all my devices accordingly. That's how you get that to work. So that's a good call. You do need to be logged in to have that functionality.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Derek, before you go, a lot of people are interested in that tripod. Do you think you could pull it up before you go?
Let me see if I can find that. I think that was an Adorama or Amazon or somebody. So hang on, I'm going to stop the share because you don't want me to hunt. And there's one or two people who I think are on this call tonight here who have bought that tripod because we talked about it.
I would say one or two more people are going to buy that tripod.
Yeah, no, it's not perfect. No, nothing ever is, right? But it works really well for being like a mini tripod.
Jean, you say you have it, huh? Jean says she's got it. Maybe she's one of the one or two.
Yeah, very, very, yeah. I've tried like Manfrotto has some mini tabletops and I've been unhappy with. The Gorilla Pods I've been unhappy with.
Jean, you might know what it is then. You could save Derek the hunting.
I'm pulling up prior orders here real quick.
She says nope.
Nope.
Yeah. I probably sent her a link or something like that previously. Let me see. Tripod.
And I have one more question to ask you when you finish
Yeah, sure.
searching.
Go ahead. I can multitask.
Okay. Well, because you know all this research that you do, right? But you also
Yeah.
were sharing that you take advantage of the travel, you know, the deals, right? So
Yes.
you just go around and you research, and you get all these things on there, and then you go
Yeah.
look at the deals, and then boom, you're ready because you've already looked at some place because you know where you want to go. That gives you a little head start. Is that right?
That is, yeah. So we always have the mentality of we'd like to go everywhere. And we're willing to go back to places too, but that's it. So if you have kind of some pre-planning in mind as deals arise, it's far easier to book those because what we've found in our travels is that the moment you lock in a time and a destination, your choices are limited. You're gonna have to do that sometimes, which is Oktoberfest. It's the last 2 weeks in September of every year in Munich, Germany. You are at the mercy of the airlines and hotels. Um, and so I found the tripod there. So I put it in the
Yay.
chat.
Okay, well,
iFootage is the name of the company.
oh,
Um,
Roxanne found it too.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That's I thought Roxanne was one of the people I talked to about before was and they have slightly different versions here too. I put in the smaller one, which is the
I
one that
couldn't
I
get
thought.
to it fast enough.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, no worries.
I'm
No
looking.
worries.
I'm gonna paste
Yeah,
it in my notes here.
you
Okay.
bet. I'm gonna
Tripod.
do one more thing for y'all. And this is a complete audible, but I think this might be fun because this group is very like-minded. I'm gonna go back to screen share one more time real quick. Anyone familiar with Google Flights?
No.
Yes.
Okay. So Google Flights
Yeah.
is
Yes,
it's
big time.
yeah, all right. So let me show you some functionality. I love that. I love people who love to travel. All right. So Google Flights is fun. So you sit there, okay, I want to go Jacksonville to Atlanta, and I want to go, you know, next month, and I want to go Monday through Friday. And so it'll do that and it'll search and it'll give me tons of prices really quick, really easy, faster than any other search engine will give you. Fine. Fantastic. That's what most people use it for. What I like to do is up here at the top is this explore button. So you click explore,
Mm.
okay? And I'm going to change Jacksonville to Atlanta because I am temporarily domiciled in Atlanta, even though I'm in St. Augustine right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the dates to
Flexible.
I'm going to jump out to the fall, and I'm going to say, hey, I typically know that Tuesdays are a great inexpensive travel day, and so I'm just going to pick 2 weeks in November because I know I want to be home for Thanksgiving, and that's it. So I'm going to let the computer think, and as it's thinking, I can get a sense for, hey, I go to Seattle at that time, and it there's a flight for $317. So I'm typically doing this, just drag and drop, and then I start scrolling in, and I say, okay, I'm going to start over here. Uh, Inexpensive airfares to Portugal and Spain, right? Really expensive to Marrakesh and, and Morocco and places like that. So I'm going to shy away from those, and I'm just going to keep looking and see what looks during that period because that's the period where I know I want to go or I'm flexible to go. And I'm just going to let it real time update and say, oh, well, hey, I haven't been to Luxembourg. I'm going to pull up Luxembourg, and it's going to tell me I can fly on Turkish Airlines, except it's 19 hours to get there because you got to go through Istanbul. And so, the next most affordable is British Airways at $1,000. So not that great of a deal. So I'm gonna keep hunting and just looking for different things and say, until I find something that tickles my fancy. And so this is a real thing. My fancy was tickled with Portugal. We've been before, but it was COVID, so we didn't really get to go. We were there, but we didn't get to do anything. So we're actually going back to Portugal then. And so um, so I found and we booked it on I think it was American. And so So that's how I found that airfare. And then I just went out and looked for hotels correspondingly to match up to it. But for that time of year, because that's the time of year that we were trying to book a vacation. That's after the Florida Georgia game because we're hosting people in Atlanta while we live there, and then before Thanksgiving. So I had like a 2-week window where I could go. Now I can go back and say, okay, now I have a destination. So I'm gonna put Lisbon in there. Now I have a destination. I can actually go and play with the grid, the travel grid, which was back where we were before, to see what day of the week is best. Because a lot of y'all are retired, something I aspire to do, and you're flexible when you travel. And so if you're going to be flexible, you may as well take the best deal of it. So now I can look at the travel grid and say, oh, okay, well, if I want to travel, save $47. If I go Monday to Monday, I save $47 on my flight versus going Tuesday to Tuesday. And so your ability to, reset and just look for where the best travel deals are is great. I'm looking at the chat here real quick. So which one do you have? Tasha asked, which one do you have? What's the difference? Is that the tripods? One is smaller, one is bigger. I have the smaller one. Roxanne, who do you use for hotels? Roxanne, I sold my soul to the devil of Hilton brands decades ago. And I am a Hilton Diamond for the remainder of my life. So I target a lot of Hiltons as a result of that. I also earn a lot of points at Hiltons. But what I do for that as well, I'm going to go back to Google Maps here real quick, is I use this as a jumping off point. So I'm going to Valencia and other places in June. And so I said, I need to find a hotel in Valencia, and there's no Hiltons in Valencia. So I simply said hotels while I'm in Valencia on Google Maps. This is not perfect. This is just a jumping off point. Then I said, okay, I'm not going to spend $600 a night. Let's say $175. All right, so that's going to thin the herd a little bit. Then I'm going to say, hey, guest rating, like people reviews, 4.5 or better. I'm not staying in a hotel that doesn't have at least a 4.5 review from users, basically users saying it's okay. So now I'm going to scroll in and say, okay, well, you see all my green flags. I got to be around my green flags. I like to walk. I'm not renting a car at this point in my trip. So I'm walking or taking the local transit. And a lot of these places are hostels, as I found out. And I'm a little bit too old to be staying in a youth hostel. So I find one that's right off of the edge. It's in my price point. It's highly rated. And now I go out to other sites and look to see, and they have all the links here, like who has different options, who has different things like that. And so that's the way that I got dark in here. That's the way that I'll do that. Additionally, there's a website that I'm extremely fond of. They also owe me commissions, but they don't. It's called Tripmasters. They're a travel agency out of either Maryland or Virginia, online only. You can do it with or without airfare. I've done both. We've probably booked a dozen trips for these guys. They're fantastic. We've had issues with hotels being sold out when we got there. They just take care of it. Where do you want to check in? We're going to move you hotels. Where do you want to go? And no additional cost, no things like that. But if you want to, they offer, and I'll put this in the chat too. If you want to just do hotels, and I looked at them for hotels, they are very good, because if you want to stay at the Hampton Inn, you can stay at Hampton Inns. If you want to stay at the Four Seasons, you can stay at the Four Seasons. Their only hook is you have to do at least 3 nights with them to leverage them. And so I'll do that. So I'll pick, just for grins and giggles for y'all, so 3 nights, and say, okay, give me hotels. And so from here, this is their choice, and this is just their default choice. There's no rhyme or reason why it is. Usually they pick something that's like mid-tier and things like that. But for here, I'll go and I'll browse the 82 hotels that they partner with. And for me, I know that there's different parts of the city I want to be in. And the part where I want to be in is I example. I just know this from my research already. And then I'll sort by price. And then I'll start looking and see, for 3 nights a hotel, who has what I'm looking for in my need. And so they had what was the starting price? $405 a night. Was the low end. The high end is, I can scroll fast. $1,100 a night. So that place looks really nice. So whatever fits your budget, whatever fits your thing. But there's lots of things like this. What these guys do is they actually book through a lot of the other third-party aggregators. So they're actually booking it for you through Expedia, through Booking, through Travelocity, through that. So they're doing lots of different aggregators. So you're not actually booking it directly through them. You're booking third party through another third party. And you could pick, hey, I want it fully refundable versus I don't care. I'm going regardless. I don't need it to be refundable. You can pick your quality of room and say, okay, I'm going to try and pick one here. And this is just me random. I don't know these hotels all that well. All right. What size room do I want? Do I want a city view? Do I want an upgraded room? And so you have the same flexibility you would have with anything else. So, but there's a number of sites that are similar to this. This one I'm just a little partial to because anytime we've traveled and if there's been a concern or issue, they've solved it for us. What else? You guys are great with the questions tonight. I have more candidates than you too. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me do that real quick. Orders. I think I'm still screen sharing, but you guys are fine. There's nothing. So there's two. There's a small and a large. This is the small.
And they don't consider that a backpack, huh? Because it looks
Nope.
like a little, like one slingy backpack.
Technically it's a sling.
Mhm.
But yeah, they don't count as a backpack.
Nice.
Yeah, I try and lawyer them as best I can. This one's a little bit large. This one's a little bit larger. And here's the thing. This is what I like. If you go out and search, there's a bunch of different styles that are like this that are all small and they're inexpensive, but they're actually reasonably well made. Like I said, I'm a bit partial to think tank bags. I have a couple of very nice ones that are a bit bigger, but I've been impressed with these, and they get a fair amount of usage. And again, look around. There's better colors. I mean, I'm looking for grays and taupes and olives. Some of you more stylish people might want something better.
Well, very cool. Well, you
Yeah.
guys get your last questions in
Yeah.
because we got to let the man have his night back.
I see it. Yeah. So can you share a travel prompt for planning a night trip? Yeah. So let me do that. So it would be.
That's a good question, Chris.
It is a good question. There are all kinds of YouTubes and tutorials around prompt writing that are short and brief. So,
Okay.
all right. So let me go back to share again. I keep ending the share prematurely. So I'm in Copilot. So, right, a 7-day itinerary. I'll put this in the chat too. For a 2nd to 6th in Colorado Springs, May 7th and 8th in Frisco, Colorado. I can't type to save my life at the end of the day here. And May 9th in Denver. Include special events and activities, as well as the top tourist attractions. It's probably going to want me to authenticate, but that's okay. We'll give it a second. All right. So Colorado Springs gave me the special events first, then suggested a day-by-day plan. So Garden of the Gods, yep, we're doing that. Pikes Peak, doing that as well too. Manitou Springs and Cave of the Winds, doing that. Cheyenne Mountain, we're doing that. We're not doing the concert, but they tell you, hey, there's a concert there. That was one of the special events. And then the Broadmoor would be nice, but that's not in our budget. Frisco tells me the special events going on there. And the plan, hey, go to Main Street and then incorporate that special event, and then go to Dillon Reservoir, which is like 10 feet below water level because they got no snow this year. You can't kayak or paddleboard on there right now. There's literally no water. And then go to Copper Mountain. So, and then day 9, Denver, the Monster Jam. Haven't been to that since my kids were little. Things like that. So you can then tell it. It'll tell you, hey, I could turn this to printable, or I can add restaurants or do more stuff. And so you can keep going with it and going from there. So the more information you give the prompt, the better outcome you get. I'll put it in the chat just as a sample for y'all. I wrote a quick one. But that's how you ultimately get it. And then it is an iterative thing. So when you're using these things, if you keep saying, you just literally, you don't have to do anymore. You just say, please add restaurants. Recommendations. And you can say, with a budget of $30 a person, paying for my kids and their wives and girlfriends on this trip. So you got to keep the budget in line. So yeah, so you can iterate on top of your initial prompt. It'll keep going with you. You say, hey, I don't like these restaurants you give me. Can you give me different restaurants? And just keep going. So it's really up to you and how much time you want to spend doing it. But keep in mind, you will get to a point of a circular loop and start getting the same things again and again and again. But yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
definitely.
Dirk, we gotta let you go because you have been.
Yes,
This
definitely.
this could not have been better on Zoom. I mean, if we tried to do this on a big screen in a room, we wouldn't all been able to look down at our phone. What the heck? I've been screenshotting like a son of a gun.
Well, yeah, I'll send you all a PDF of the PowerPoint itself with all the content in there. I already have a copy, so that way, if you want to put it on the website or do whatever,
that's nice.
You can do that.
Thank you. My tripod's arriving Saturday, so I'm good.
There we
Too
go.
funny.
But that
Awesome.
is all right. I did have one last question. So when
Yes.
you go internationally, you
Yes.
go like, is it 2 weeks or you just go as much as you? Because y'all were in Germany for a month, weren't you?
18 days.
Yeah. Well,
18
no,
days.
18
Yeah.
days is like-
I still have a job. I mean, I do have unlimited PTO, but I still have a job. Yeah. So my wife jokes that she doesn't cross the ocean for less than 10 days. And I'm inclined to agree with her on that if you're going across into the oceans, try and make it at least 10 days because the first day is kind of shot with jet lag anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but if you travel, like when you're going to Colorado Springs, you're there for what?
8 days.
Right. So,
But that,
okay.
yeah,
So,
but that was the that was limited by literally asking my children, "Hey, when are you available for a family vacation?" And they gave me 1 week and 1 week only, and then they told me it was literally Saturday to Saturday was all they could do.
yeah.
So they're flying back on Saturday. We are flying to Phoenix on Monday, and then going. I have a conference for a couple days, and then we're going to the Grand Canyon and all parts without. So our vacation is actually going to be 2 weeks, and I squeaked in a work conference for a few days too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful. This is great.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you
glad.
so much.
Really great.
Thank
And you
Yeah,
get
no.
see all your thank yous before you go. See, you're helping.
Oh.
Becky's going to Berlin. She's thanking you.
Yeah.
Evidently now you're Inspector Gadget with Chris Crate. Or is that Susan? Who's Inspector
That's
Gadget?
me.
I don't-
Chris
I think
calls
it's
me Inspector Gadget.
Okay.
too funny.
All right. Well, but so with that, I guess I'm gonna. If you've seen all your thank yous there, I'm gonna end
Yeah, no,
our
thank you. Yeah.
call. But thank
Yep.
you so much.
Thank
You
you.
bet.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Take
Bye,
care, everyone.
everybody.
Good night, all.
Bye,
Bye, all.
everybody.